Hey, Tony Guys here. You know, I want to pop in and remind you. It's something that I realized that I notice a lot of people don't think and don't believe, and that is that you have more power and control over your life than you think, based on what you stop, what you allow, and what you reinforce. I have a quote that float around online that says, you teach people how to treat you by what you stop, what you allow, and what you reinforce. And I wrote that years ago because I learned that working in a group home and doing the behavioral science programs with the clients on ignore, stop, redirect, reinforce, ignore, redirect, reinforce. And in that, we learned that you reinforce the behaviors that you want to see repeated, and you stop or you ignore the behaviors that you want to see decreased. And a lot of times what happens is in our relationships with our job, our spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, brother, we reinforce negative behaviors and we ignore positive behaviors. So a positive behavior happens and we don't think much of it, or we're grateful for it, but we don't go out of our way to verbally express our gratitude and say, hey, thank you so much for doing that, for what you did. We don't do that, and then the person doesn't register that what they did we actually really appreciate. But then when someone does something negative, we argue or we get upset with them, or we cry, or and we reinforce that behavior and we give energy to it. And that's what ends up hurting us, is because now a person will do something negative just to get a rise out of you. They'll do something negative just because that's the only time you give them attention. The most attention you give is when you're arguing with them. So they'll just do something negative just to get the argument going. But if you ignore the things that, or you stop the things that get under your skin, and you start praising the positive behavior, then that positive behavior will be repeated. And so that's really what we have to start thinking about, is how can we set standards and boundaries for what we will and won't allow in our life. And that's where we have to get to. I'm about to go on my gate, and I'm in a different car that ain't put the little entry sticker on, and I gotta see the gate attendant who I was out there trying to do a burnout earlier and for the first time. So I know she been looking at me crazy because I was on the street out here trying to do the burnout. Me again.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so think about this, because you'll get out of life what you want. But this is the thing. In order to get what you want out of life, you got to be okay saying no. You got to be okay walking away. I remember, and this is crazy, but sometimes it just is what it is. Like, think about this. I remember this company came to me and they offered me this amount for a campaign, and I ended up getting paid triple that amount because I told them, let's start the negotiation at double what they offered me. And so starting right there, I end up getting paid more than triple what they offered me. Almost quadruple. $5 grand short of quadrupling what their initial offer was. And so that worked out great. But then they came back with another offer, and I said, well, I'm gonna need this amount, which was about 50% increase of what they asked me, what they offered me. And they misunderstood me on the conversation and came back, and I got double, 200%, 100% above what they offered me. And so then later, this company came to me, this guy came to me to do this interview, and he wanted me to be a interview host, like a host for an interview for what was it, like a radio network or something, to interview artists during, I think it was like South by Southwest. And he offered me $15,000. And from having just done a negotiation, I was like, hey, you know, I would need $25,000. And he's like, unfortunately, the budget doesn't have 25 in it. And I said, okay, well, you know, thank you for considering me, and, you know, wishing you the best on this. And I let $15,000 walk away. And so I say that to say, you gotta, in order to get what you want out of life, to get what you deserve out of life, you gotta be willing to let people walk. You gotta be willing to let some things go. And yeah, you gonna look back, like later I look back like, man, I wish I would have took that 15. I need to stop negotiating. But then I realized, I say, you know, you never could go to the next level if you stay and you keep accepting what you're getting on this level. And it come with it. You know, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. So you might meet somebody that they look absolutely amazing to you, but their attitude nasty, and their morals and their values bad. And they the best looking person you never talked to in your life. But that attitude and all that off, guess what? You got to go on about your business. You got to go on about your business. And when you do that, you start to see yourself differently. And you want different now. Now you want different. Now you like, you know what? I want different now. So you're not going to accept the same thing. So hey, this is Tony Gaskin. I just want to let you know you could get more out of life if you want it. But in order to get more out of life, you got to stop accepting what you've been accepting and what you've been settling for. And you got to set your standards and know what you want, know what you deserve. And don't be willing to accept less. It's Tony Gaskin. God bless you. We'll talk soon.